What is up, everybody? My name is Andrew Mentor, and you are in tune to the Wisdom and Sound Show. If this is your first time with us, welcome. It is my aim to bring you some information and some knowledge that will help propel you on your journey or whatever it is that you do in life. Whether you're a musician, an artist, or any kind of creative person, this podcast is for you. If you find some value in what you're hearing on today's episode, please share this with your friends and family. Also, if you could rate and review this on iTunes, I would totally appreciate it, and I will definitely do the same for you. So if you can make that happen, it would be awesome. Otherwise, I'm always accepting music submissions, so send them to me, Andrew at wisdomandsound.com. Whether it's blues, hip-hop, jazz, hardcore, pop, heavy metal, dubstep, it doesn't matter, it's all good. Send them over. I want to hear it. On today's episode, we have a very special guest. His name is Chris Hornbrook. He's a drummer currently for the band Senses Fail, and it's my absolute pleasure having him on the show. So hey Chris, just diving right in, tell me a little bit about your background and how you get started and kind of what you're up to now.
All right, well, my background is started playing drums when I was 12, started playing shows by the time I was 15, and by the time I was 18, I joined a band called Poison the Well and started touring with them, and had done that from basically age 17, 18-ish to about 20, well, full-time at least.
Right.
So about 29, I believe I was, 28, 29, it was around that time.
Wow, were these guys that you knew and you started the band together, or you met them and they hired you kind of?
Well, I was in another band with the guitar player for Poison. He played bass in another like punk band that I was in, and him and our old singer wanted to put together a band, not as like a hired, but as like, you know, members and all that sort of stuff. And so yeah, I did that. Awesome. That kind of was like what kind of kicked off my career, and was able to put out 5 full lengths, 2 EPs, travel the world, you know, do a bunch of cool shit that everybody dreams of to do in their 20s. Right around the time that ended, I decided to move to California because, you know, I had friends out here, and it's a hub for music, and it just makes sense if I wanted to kind of continue being like a hired drummer. So I moved out here. Was dormant for about 2.5 years because it takes a little bit to kind of go out and meet people and sort of get in the sort of circulation of, you know, the sort of the music scene here. So I did that, and then I started working for an electronic band called Big Black Delta, which has this dude that used to play in M83, and is just a really creative, great dude.
Oh, cool.
And did a cycle with him. When that tapered off, I started working for a band called Senses Fail. And in between that, and I'm currently still with Senses Fail, I still work for them. But in between, I had done sessions for a bunch of different bands. Like I had done sessions for like the band Phoenix DX, this band called the Black Queen, which has members of the Dillinger Escape Plan and Nine Inch Nails. Band Sleigh Bells, which consists of the old guitar player for Poison the Well.
Right. Cool.
You know, played with this punk band called Trash Talk. Like, you know, just kind of like moved around.
Sure.
But yeah, right now I'm just basically with Senses Fail. Poison the Well is not really doing much, nor is the other electronic band, Big Black Delta. They're not really doing anything either, so I'm just kind of doing Senses Fail. I think we might do a record this year, and we're about to hit the road in like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Right, awesome. Yeah, I saw that. That's a pretty extensive tour you guys got booked there.
Yeah, the band hasn't toured extensively as for a headliner tour in a really, really long time. So
right,
and it's celebrating like the 15 years that the band has been a band. So it'll be interesting. It'll be fun, and it should be cool. But yeah, that's kind of my history as like being a professional musician. You know.
So, how old do you think you would say when you became serious about your art and your craft?
I kind of knew right off the bat because my dad's a bass player, and when I was younger, he kind of was pushing me to play guitar, and, you know, I picked it up, I took lessons. I could still play guitar today. It's not something that I love to do necessarily.
Right.
But I started doing that. I did that for a few years, and then I switched over to alto saxophone, which was cool, but like it didn't really like, you know, do anything. And then around the age of 12, that's when I discovered drums and just really just kind of dove into it and completely fell in love. And I kind of figured out at that point that was my craft. And that was around the time all the 90s stuff was happening up in Seattle.
Yeah.
So, as being a kid and seeing all this music and sort of being enamored with it, I just wanted to do it. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I don't know where it was going to take me, but I thought that, I should just attempt to give it some sort of try and, sort of work my way up. And, I was really fortunate. I started playing drums when I was 12, when I was touring by the age of 18. I had hit like a little bit of a streak, and I had gotten really fortunate, right place, right time, right people.
Totally. Did you go to college as well?
Well, around the time that I was graduating from high school, Poison the Well had put out like a few records. Like we put out an EP, and we would do like spring touring, or we'd do summer touring or winter break touring, because we were all kind of in school at the time. And then in my senior year, that's when things kind of started picking up a little bit. It should promise that it could turn into something for real. We had put out our first full length, and things started kind of taking off a little bit. It wasn't like crazy how things take off now, but this is kind of, 1998, 99, hardcore scene. You're booking tours through like AOL Instant Messenger, and, everybody's throwing money to rent like a minivan or a cargo van, and, you're driving up, doing a few shows, coming back. It's not like the musical scene, like hardcore and punk. It wasn't obviously what it is now. It was sort of transitioning into, like, we are part of the early stages of it turning into what it sort of is currently,
Sure. Yeah, it must be exciting.
It was cool, man. It was really fun. Like, no one really thought about it like that. Everybody just kind of like wanted to make really, really cool music and tour, and, it kind of sort of snowballed into something really, really unique and really special.
That's awesome. And you said you moved from where to LA?
Well, I was originally from South Florida, like the Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. I was born in Hollywood. I grew up in like Davie, Plantation area.
Right.
Got you.
We had gotten really, really lucky. Like typically bands aren't successful unless you live in like Nashville, Southern California,
right?
New York, and it was around the time that things were kind of taking off in Florida. So the initial sort of catapulting it into it, it had happened, but when the band tapered off like 10, 12 years later, or however much time, I didn't really think that lightning was going to strike twice in the same area. And I knew that there wasn't really much for me left in Florida musically or anything. Like, I have family and I have friends there, but for the most part, it's just not for me,
Yep.
So I thought it just made sense. And I had been to California a ton of times through the years of touring and always loved it where it was geographically, loved the weather, loved proximity to the desert, to the ocean, to the mountains. It just was a very appealing place, and a lot of my friends were sort of kind of gesturing for me to move out here, because they was like, you're wasting your time in Florida, and they were right.
Yeah,
totally right.
Oh yeah,
I'm doing well. I can't complain. Things could be worse, things could be better, and I'm very grateful and appreciative for what I do have.
That's awesome. Most musicians and people that I've talked to, they're just humble enough to say, look, I always have room to grow and always have room to learn. And essentially, we're students of life. Pretty much, man. That's my philosophy. I feel like you got to kind of check your ego at the door, and you have to really be able to sort of sit down and like attempt to objectively look at yourself and see where you're strong and see where you're weak, and be honest. I think honesty with yourself is like the best thing. Nice.
If you can't be honest with yourself, then you can't grow as a dude, or as a human being, or as a musician, or like any point. Like, you're just gonna get really stifled. And I would like to think of myself as somewhat of a progressive person, whether it's music or life or whatever, relationships. I'm constantly putting myself on the chopping block and looking at myself and saying, like, you need to change this about yourself, or you need to improve this, or you need to improve that. Like, I try not to make excuses. Just kind of like, you fucked up there, you did good here, but you fucked up here.
Yep.
Now go out and like take that next step, improve, don't fuck up again.
That's what it's about. If you're serious about your work, you don't make excuses to become the best at it.
Yeah, I agree, man. I'm a big advocate of also checking your ego at the door.
Right.
Notice that there's been a lot of people that I've encountered here that are like awesome and don't really have egos. And then there's a lot of people that, that do. And I feel like all the ones that do, like, yeah, they definitely have reasons to have it. They're really good at, A, B, C, or D, or all of the above. But at the same time, it's kind of like I feel like a certain level of ego is healthy, but when it becomes too much, I do feel like it becomes one of those things that's like a bit of overcompensation for the things that you're not good at.
Right.
And,
sure.
nobody wants to be around a guy who thinks he's fucking the best thing ever, whether it's drumming, musician, good looking or funny or whatever. No one wants to be around somebody that's like thinks way too highly of themselves,
Yep.
That's awesome. So that kind of leads me to this question, because I was going to ask you, besides your drumming abilities, what other skills have contributed to your success? It seems like humility is one of those.
I think it's a lot of it's just right place, right time, because
Yeah.
I know people that are like technically better drummers than me, or may have put in more time than me. But I think it's just, right place, right time. There's a certain bit of luck involved with it. But there's also, too, like the idea of seeing what you want, visualizing it, and then looking for those opportunities when they present themselves, either in a very obvious manner or not so obvious manner. Because sometimes opportunity isn't in front of you, fucking blowing an air horn, yelling in your face. You kind of have to read between the lines.
Totally.
And I try to do that as best I can. You're not going to get every opportunity. You're not going to get every, everything thrown at you. But at least if you kind of have your high beeps on, so to speak, I think you'll be able to sort of, you'll be able to get the ones that you can see. And, that's great.
Yeah, I agree. As you've progressed and have grown, sort of has your approach to the music changed, or your approach professionally with different people, or have you always kind of taken the same sort of path, getting gigs and getting new clientele?
Well, I think it's a little bit of all of the above. And what I mean by that is I think that fundamentally, say, like approaching music, it's still the same. Like I've always tried to play for the music. You know what I mean? And that's obviously improved throughout the years of working with different people and them suggesting stuff or bringing criticism to me. Same thing with working with producers and stuff like that. Like you kind of have to have them, praise you or, yell at you, either way, So I feel like I always try to play for whatever I'm doing.
Yeah.
Which is crucial, but obviously throughout the years that's evolved, because I've been really fortunate to work with some really, really amazing songwriters and really, really amazing musicians, and kind of tap. I attempt to, and I'd like to think that I've successfully sort of been able to tap into their genius,
right,
and extract a little bit from that. You know what I mean? Like, oh well, he approaches stuff this way, or like, oh, he plays chords this way, or like, oh, he does this or he does that, and just kind of take it in, make it my own and take something from it and, grow. But I think at the core, I think playing for the song is like the most crucial thing. I think playing with emotion and feeling and having groove is crucial. In terms of career, I guess the other half of the question, I've definitely had to reevaluate a lot of stuff. Just because it's like when I first started playing, it's when bands are still selling records and shit like that. And I was in a band, and the band was becoming successful, and it was sort of projected to be something, and it fell short of that for whatever reasons, whether it was our poor choices or the climate or whatever. So I think as time has gone on, you kind of meet these forks in the road, or you meet these weird turns and all this shit. And I've just tried to navigate the best I could, not make emotional-based decisions, but try to make the most logical, sensible decisions for myself, and try to navigate the times as best I can, because it's not like it was, when I'm 35, 36 now. I started playing when I was 18, so is that like, 15 plus years ago?
Yep.
Like, it's not like that anymore.
Right.
and you can't maintain this attitude like, oh, I'm going to go make it. I'm going to get in the band. We're going to sign to a major label. Like, no, that shit doesn't matter anymore.
Yep.
That doesn't even fucking really matter. Like, going to a major may not even be the most intelligent thing to do.
Right. Totally.
So the other half of that is, as well, is like I never envisioned myself as being a hired guy, but I made the decision, 6-7 years ago that like, okay, well, if I could join a band at some point, that would be great. Yeah. But maybe I should try doing the hired thing for a while, like not worry about the expenses on tour and just show up and collect a paycheck and not stress about anything, which is cool too. I mean, both things have their pros and their cons, and I'd like to get to a point where I'm in a few functional bands where maybe a few of them I'm a member.
Yep.
And then a few of them I'm not a member, and it's a healthy balance.
That's cool. What is kind of like your 5-year, your 10-year plan?
It's hard because things change so rapidly,
Yeah.
so quickly now because of the internet, because of how quick technology moves. And obviously, I feel like technology is, especially with music, is very dictating.
Yeah.
So, kind of with that being said, I try to do like year plans. And it's not because I don't want long-term plans. It's just kind of like I've learned that life will just kind of pull you along, and you could make whatever plans. You could think they're fucking,
Yep.
solid, but like nothing's fucking solid. So my plan right now is like, I just want to play for bands. I want to be the best drummer I could possibly be, and work for bands that, I enjoy playing with, or I enjoy working for. Or regardless of whatever I do, I'll be stoked and be happy because I love playing drums. Even if I despise the music, playing drums is always fulfilling for me.
That's awesome.
So I could do whatever, and that's fine. But like, I don't know. I'm just looking on being a great drummer and just, moving up the chain of like, like being a hired guy. Like, yeah, SSL is a pretty big band and it's fun, and I'll do it as long as the singer buddy will have me because it's his band.
Totally.
But I also am not closed off to like doing a pop gig or a country pop gig or a rock band or a pop. Like I kind of want to just continue to move up the ladder so I could have a bank of just a bunch of different bands that I'm working for.
Just have that discography, if you will, just down the line, huh?
Yeah, the resume. Be like, I've worked with all these bands. I've worked with everything from like a thrashy funk band to electronic pop band, and everything in between. So that kind of gives my resume, a degree of like diversity to what I do.
I saw that you were recording in Studio West recently. I was over there last year, so that was cool.
That place was pretty rad. I just went down there and recorded a song. That band, cool. Phoenix TX, needed a drummer for a cover song that they were doing.
Gotcha.
For like a whole sort of thing called Sonic Shop. It's this dude Will and this dude Joe.
Yeah.
Joe's the producer. Will's a guitar player and singer for Phoenix TX.
Very cool.
And they do this thing called Sonic Shop where they get kids to sign up, like audio engineers or aspiring audio engineers.
Right.
And they just take you through the entire step of tracking a song. Overall, it was a great experience.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, that's something that I really enjoy, is helping other people and being in an environment where there's, younger guys that are learning the craft and just need help or want to, they're hungry for it. It's like, man, it brings back those memories when I was in school, and just like, oh man, I know what it's like. I want to give them the goods, and and that's why I do this podcast. That's what I do music for, and I do everything for. I'm motivated by helping others and inspiring others, and if I could pave the way for others to come up as well, man, that's the best feeling. So,
absolutely, man, that's very positive. That's great, and I totally back that 100%.
Cool. Give thanks, man. Well, today's submission obviously comes from Senses Fail. This song is called Carry the Weight. It's from the album Pull the Thorns from Your Heart. Of course, Chris Hornbrook is on the drums, so sit back and enjoy.
I used to want to die, but now I believe not in a distant God. There's a love I found in me. I'd rather be awake and in pain than asleep, singing as if no one can hear. Take the courage that you take. I carry the weight in the only way I knew. I carry the weight in the only way I knew. I was scared enough to lie and say that I'm okay, when inside I was dying, so confused, so alone, so afraid. I hope you never know what it's like to want a piece of yourself. I'm still scared, but I've got courage to be more vulnerable and one day free. Now my heart isn't covered in concrete. I breathe. I breathe. No longer scared of the vulnerability. No longer scared of the person that I see.
Let me continue forward. I wanted to ask you, I did get a question, actually a listener who loves M83, so that's kind of funny, but he wanted to know specifically, how do you balance the road life and staying healthy, and keeping your professional life also managed?
Maintaining all that, I feel like social media is a big, from my perspective, social media, like, it helps, like Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff. And I guess what I mean by that is people can see what you're doing and if you are available or if you're not available or what's going on with you.
Gotcha.
And, if somebody's like, what's Chris up to? They could just go to my Instagram and be like, oh, he's about to go on tour with Census Fail, or he's on tour with Census Fail, or he's playing some shows with Poison the Well, or he's doing a tour with Big Black Delta or whatever. And they can kind of see that and be like, okay, well, this thing is happening in a month or so from now. Let me hit him up. I know he's out now, but let me see if he'll be back and if he could learn these songs or whatever,
Right. Got you. The other side of that is, how do you maintain a healthy lifestyle on the road?
Like eating and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, eating. I mean, the daily regimen of it. I mean, do you find it hard or?
It's difficult, man. And that's actually something for 2017 that I'm trying to step up a bit. I generally have a pretty big sweet tooth.
Yeah.
And this year I've been like slowly but surely like moving out like sugars and shit from my diet, like fructose and all that like man-made garbage, and just trying to keep it like healthier fruits and all that sort of stuff. But the big test is, when I go on tour, because it's really easy when you wake up in the middle of the night or in the morning and you're at a truck stop and you walk in,
right,
and there's like candy bars or there's fucking gummy bears. So I can't necessarily say that I've always maintained the healthiest lifestyle on the road in terms of diet, and especially if you're in the middle of fucking nowhere and they're like, we ordered pizza.
Yep.
You're like, all right, well, I guess I'm eating pizza at midnight, which you probably shouldn't do.
Right.
But I'm actually working on making that a little bit more priority for this next run, because I'm 35, 36 years old. Like, I'm not getting any younger, and how you treat your body and how what you put in your body, that's how it's going to rebuild itself, and that's how you're going to feel. And when I go on tour, I want to be 100%. I play every night, whether it's like 30, 45 minutes, an hour, hour and a half. This next tour is going to be like, we're going to be playing at least an hour and 20, hour and 15 to like hour 20, hour and a half. Like, at least I'm getting like a physical workout every night. I just have to make sure that I'm putting in quality stuff to my body.
Yeah, that's key for sure. I remember I was on with a reggae group, and this guy wanted to hit up every Whole Foods on the West Coast, man. And like, we would drive out of our way just to go to the Whole Foods because they're vegan, It was nuts.
I mean, I'd be super into that shit too, man. But the fortunate thing is, like, we run like a bus, so we have like we have microwave, which isn't necessarily the healthiest, but we have like a fridge,
Got you.
And, you know, you get to the venue super early, so you could take like an Uber or a Lyft to like a Trader Joe's or to a Whole Foods or to, you know, a grocery store. And if you wanted to, you could go and, you know, get some organic whatever or pick up whatever. And you just have to make a concerted and conscious effort to like do it.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to attempt to do on this next run, where it's like I don't want to fall back into like habits that I developed when I was like 17, 18 years old, because it's just not good. And like I said, 2017, I cut all like the garbage, all the sugar stuff out of my diet, all the like sweets. Yeah. And I've been doing really good, and like I don't think about it or anything, but like, yeah, you go on tour and like those old things kind of trigger in your mind. You're like, oh, just go grab the Snickers, or just go grab the gummy bears, or, you know, grab the donuts. And it's like I just don't want to fall back in that hole at all.
Totally, man. I think it is very crucial and just important that people are health conscious, not only for the obvious reasons, but it's like, this is what fuels you. I mean, essentially, you're an athlete. You know, every time you perform, you're sweating your ass off, I bet.
Yeah, dude. I mean, 45-minute sets are pretty, you know, can be pretty like intense. You know, try to factor playing 20+ songs for like an hour and a half, and you know, since Phil's pretty energetic band, so it's not like playing light-handed music, and there's also not that many stops in between the songs, so it's like it's a pretty high intense cardio, you know, workout. Like when I walk off stage, I'm usually just I need to go on our bus and just drink water or to like consume something, because I'm just so depleted.
Yep, I bet. Where does most of your inspiration come from?
Different things. Like when I listen to music and stuff like that, like I kind of listen, like let's just use music for an example.
Yeah.
When I listen to music, generally speaking, I'm listening for the song, I'm listening for the catchiness. I start listening to how the melodies interact with each other. You just start like analyzing everything, you know, analyzing tone, how the drums sound, just kind of like just overall analyzing everything, right?
Yeah.
So the more I'll listen to something, the more that I'll attempt to extract things that I like about it. Like, oh, the way this drummer plays, like he has kind of like more of like a staccato feel when he does like 16th notes or 8th notes on the hi-hat. And it really works with his style. Like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like maybe I should try to like integrate that into what I do if a moment arises that could work. Yeah. Or an arrangement of a song. Like, oh wow, this is only 2 parts. That's pretty cool. Or guitar tone. Even though like I'm not a guitar player, like, oh, I like that. Like it's like low gain, or it's high gain, but it's really clear and like it's not oversaturated. Or bass tone. Like, oh, it's just basically like I become like a computer, and I just listen over and over, and I just hear the things that I like that to me seem pretty different and pretty unique, and I just try to put it in my memory bank. So if I'm writing a song with somebody or writing a song on my own or whatever, that I could be like, oh, that was cool. Like, why don't I try that? Or why don't I try this? Or like, this is cool or that's cool, you know?
Yep, totally. I was going to say, do you have any plans to do the Chris Hornbrook project?
Maybe in the future. I mean, I wouldn't do it as me at all. I would like have a moniker of some sort. And
yeah.
I probably wouldn't limit it. I would just, you know, I would just put out whatever I want to put out. It probably wouldn't be genre specific. So if I wanted to do like a heavy record, I do a heavy record. If I want to do an electronic record, I do an electronic record. I just want it to be more of just sort of a broad thing of what I'm into. But no real concrete plans right now. You know, if I write a collection of songs that I feel is good and worth putting out, then yeah, I'll definitely release an LP or release an EP, and I'll put it out, and it'll be cool. And if people like it, that's rad. If they don't like it, that's cool too. But you know, just being creative and putting it out when I feel I have something to say, I think is the most important thing. Because I don't know, I feel like if you don't have something to say and you put something out, people can generally, like, there's a difference between music that says something and music that doesn't say something. Right. And you could feel when something's uninspired and when something is inspired. And I only put out music that's inspired.
Yeah, I only listen to music that's inspired. I try to. So.
Yeah, and I know that's so subjective, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I feel like there's like this distinction between art, or not art, but I feel like there's a distinction for music that's put out because a band or a person has something to say, whether it's a relationship thing or a life thing or whatever. and then something that's simply put out for commerce. There's a very, very clear distinction between both. I'm not saying one is better than the other. Sure. Obviously, I understand that they both have their purpose and they both assume their roles in our society for their particular reasons, and that's cool. I'm definitely not dissing music for commerce. But for me personally, I just really couldn't do that. Like, I can't, like when I'm on my computer and I write some music, whether it's like a guitar and drums or electronic, whatever, there's a it's very obvious when something is made for, something is made when I have something to say emotionally, and when something isn't, like I'm not saying anything emotionally. Right. You know what I mean? And like, it's definitely not good when I don't have some sort of inspiration. So that's kind of, I've learned is my sort of rule of thumb. It's like, if I don't feel inspired or I don't have something to say, I'm not going to put it out because it's not going to be good.
Yeah, well, I commend that, man. I think everything I've listened to so far has been awesome. I mean, I've listened to most of your music and tried to find some other things as well on, YouTube's. And from what I gather, it seems like you're so focused on being the best at your craft and the best that you know how to be, and that alone drives me, so I really appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like okay, so my attitude is like, we're here, we're on Earth, right? Yeah. And we don't know why the fuck we're here, and we have a very limited time. If we're lucky, we'll get like 70, 80 years, right?
Yep.
Like, why waste your time striving for mediocrity? Like, you should always, if you find something that you love doing, whether it's audio engineering, writing songs, drumming, driving a car around, rebuilding cars, whatever your particular love is, like, yeah, we all have to work, we all have to pay our bills. I get that, and we all have to fucking get money in whatever way that we need to get it.
Sure.
Totally understandable. Why not strive to, like, make money off shit you love doing? Take that chance. Go forward. It's not going to be easy. Like, my path hasn't been easy. Like, I don't come from money. Like, I have to figure out my shit. Like, when I can't make rent for the month or my car payment because a gig fell through or I thought something was going to happen and it just didn't pan out, I got to go fucking do something. I got to go do something I don't like, whether it's selling some gear or, a side job or whatever. Like, it's not easy, but at the end of the day, like, all the shit that I've done from 18 to 36 has been extremely rewarding. Yep. And I don't think, even if I was like, even if I worked like a normal ass job, and even if I was making like 80 to 100 grand a year and I owned a house and all this shit, like, that's cool. But like, what's your purpose? Like, what do you, like, my purpose isn't to make money. Like, I want money so that like, I don't have to think about where I'm going to like go to sleep at night or how I'm going to eat or, whatever. I just want some nice stuff, but like, that doesn't drive me to do the shit that I do. I feel like people that solely do shit for money, like, I want to say it's sad because that's not fair. Like, I'm not in their shoes, and maybe like making money for them is a very fulfilling thing, but like, I don't know, man. Like, when I get behind the drum kit and I play and I come up with a really great idea, I get excited. Or somebody comes to me, we're like, we're going to write a record, we're going to write a song, and it's cool. And like, I could hear that has potential. Like, that to me is amazing, man. And like, I don't think money can buy that.
Yep. That's the best feeling in the world right there. And that's exactly what, you talked about purpose, and it's about that purpose, right? You want to fuel the purpose. So your money goes to that.
And that's
100%. 100%.
Very cool, Chris. Well, listen, brother, I really appreciate your time. Otherwise, if fans want to reach out or anybody else wants to reach out, is the best way to get you on your website at chrishornbrook.com?
Yeah, that's my website, and it basically, has my, bio and discography and videography and like just, basically what I've done so far in like a nutshell. If people want to reach out on any way on social media, my Twitter and my Instagram handle are Chris_Hornbrook. They're applicable on both Twitter and Instagram. And then, I have like a Facebook page. So, go like that shit. That'd be super cool.
Yeah. All right, Chris. Well, thanks again, and we'll be in touch.
For sure, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Take care, brother. Guys, I am totally inspired by that interview. If you're feeling it, I definitely want to know. So send me some feedback, Andrew at wisdomandsound.com. Also, if you could rate and review this on iTunes, I would be so grateful. Of course, I will do the same for you. You could always check me out on Instagram. Everything is at wisdomandsound.com, the Facebook, the website. It's all good. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Once again, my name is Andrew Mencher, and this is Wisdom and Sound.